Trans Am's Mid-Ohio story last year was nothing but bad news for Amy Ruman.
It is unacceptable what happened here today.
This year, the defending series champion is determined to break her home track curse.
Hopefully 2016 will be the first year we win here at Mid-Ohio.
To do it, she'll have to drive past the old master Cliff Eben and hold off her old nemesis, Paul Fix. The First Energy 100 Trans Am Racing from Mid-Ohio is next on CBS Sports Network. Welcome to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We're in Lexington, Ohio for coverage of Trans Am, America's road racing series. Today, it's the First Energy Trans Am 100, part of First Energy Trans Am Weekend. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Great to have you with us. Trans Am back at one of its most historic racetracks. The series has been coming here for a very long time, the scene of some epic battles over the years. This is the home track for the defending series champ, Amy Ruman. She's leading the points again this year. She's got a host of challengers nipping at her heels, including Paul Fix, who's won 2 straight races. A good run for Fix here today could propel him into the title fight in a very close fashion. He's not the pole sitter, though, here today. Let's find out about the starter up front. Here's Todd Lewis.
Here's our pole sitter through the TA race. It's Cliff Eben, who had a really fast time. He was quick in our last event at Brainerd. Cliff, I guess it really helps to be up front at a tight track like Mid-Ohio.
Yes, it does. We had a kind of a short qualifying session, and I happened to get a good one in at the end, and everything's working out good.
Good starting spot. Cliff Eben is going to try to bring it home for victory here at Mid-Ohio.
Michael McDowell, we saw Cliff Eben run so strongly at the front of the field at Brainerd Raceway a couple of weeks ago, he couldn't pay it off on the final few laps.
He's been showing a lot of speed this year, and who knows, maybe he'll get the victory lane.
We'll see what happens. Overcast skies here at Mid-Ohio. Todd Lewis on pit road for us today. 15 cars in our Trans Am field. TA3 and TA4 running in this one as well. Randy Kinsland has the pole out of North Carolina and that beautiful GT2 Corvette. That is a TA3 machine. TA4, we've got a raft of Porsches here. Our Grand Marshal, Mark Brzezinski.
Drivers, start your engines.
Mark from First Energy, our event sponsor here today. We've got a host of onboard looks for you. Tim Kesman in the 4-car, the Calypso Lemonade's onboard look. That's one of the Fall Line Motorsport Porsche GT3 entries. We'll ride with Claudio Burton in the Trans Am field as well, the Go Share Chevrolet Corvette. Claudio didn't qualify in the 7-car as well as he would like to. He'll be trying to get to the front. Amy Ruman, the defending series champ, back on top of the points table, Michael. She thinks this track owes her one.
Absolutely, and Amy's had such a great season going, but she's had some mechanical issues and some mistakes. She's got back to the points lead, but really has to capitalize on every single race.
Halfway now, 5 races complete. This is the 6th of 12 rounds of the championship. Amy's lead, 27 points over Cliff Eben, who has the pole. David Pintarik, Paul Fix, who gave Amy a fight for it last year. He's up to 4th now, and then Kerry Hitt rounding out the first 5. Paul Fix, I know, is a guy who very much wants to get to victory lane in that Stopflex car.
Absolutely, he's very confident, knows what he needs to do in his car, knows what he needs to get out of it. We've seen him in the victory lane. Mid-Ohio is a great racetrack, one of my favorites, one of America's great road races. We're going to see an awesome race.
Paul Fix comes in here in Trans Am, having won 2 in a row at New Jersey and at Brainerd in Minnesota, where we were a few weeks ago. We'll see if he can make it 3 straight. TA3 and TA4 part of our show today as well. Ernie Francis Jr., 5 for 5 in TA4, and he's the defending series champ. Will ride in his Ford Mustang today as the field comes out of the keyhole and heads down toward turn number 4. Cliff Eben and Amy Ruman on the front row. Simon Gregg, former winner here. Paul Fix alongside in row 2. John Bauckham from Charlotte. David Pintarik in row number 3. Vinny Allegretta from New York and Todd Peterson. Claudio Burton back there in the 6th row. Tim Rubright in that beautiful new Mustang with Richard Grant in front of Mickey Wright. 15 cars in our Trans Am field. TA3, Kinsland in that Corvette. Connor Flynn in the 95. That's a Porsche. Mark Bowden. Randy Mueller in the BMW. We saw him win last year a few times.
And we got manufacturer battles here. It's going to be great to see who can handle this tight and twisty Mid-Ohio course.
Take a look at the TA4 starting grid. There's Ernie Francis Jr. in that Mustang. Todd Napierowski in the Tremec Chevrolet. Tristan Herbert in the 33, Brian Cleveland, Spencer Caudle, and Rich Jones will make up row number 3 as the field lines up 2 by 2, set for 100 miles of racing here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Halfway point of the 2016 season. We've got 3 divisions of action for you as the leaders come to the keyhole. Onboard looks, including one from Kerry Hitt's Cadillac, that 19 car. Kerry's company, of course, makes the composite bodywork for these Cadillacs. Beautiful cars. There's Kerry's machine right there. We've got Mustangs, Corvettes, that beautiful new Mustang of Tim Rubright, the orange car there. Field coming to the green here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We're glad to have you with us on CBS Sports Network, and we're underway. Contact between the front row starters.
They're fighting hard for the lead. Amy Ruman was trying to get on the outside. Cliff Evans was not letting her have it.
The TA3 and 4 field coming to the green flag as well here on this slightly angled front straightaway. A little kinkier as you head down toward the S's. That's the 11 car on the front row, but they go 3 and 4 wide.
Very tricky corner to go 3-4 wide. It narrows down. The field does a great job.
Oh, car around. That's Milton Grant in the 5 car out of Tennessee. He is off in the grass. Everybody away cleanly. And the TA3 and 4 cars in the fight as we get on board with Tim Kesman, that Calypso lemonade machine.
And it's so hard at the start. You want to pounce, you want to get as many spots as you can, but it's also high risk. Everybody's bunched together. You have to be careful.
Amy Ruman, who got leaned on by Cliff Evans, she's in trouble. She's headed to pit road early with some body rub, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like she may have a right front tire down from that contact, obviously going into turn 4. Oh man, that's gonna set her back.
Here's an onboard look from Amy's Chevrolet, the defending champion. Evan just moved over on her here, coming to the green.
They were both leaning on each other pretty good. You know, I think it's just not knowing where they were gonna go.
Contact early again for the overall championship points leader, Amy Ruman. The crew scrambles over the wall, over to the right side. They're going to have a look at that right front, get the tire off, see if there's any suspension damage. Hopefully it's not serious and she can return to the battle.
Amy Ruman once again at her home track of Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, having problems early a year ago. Contact with Tommy Dreese, who's not in the show here today. Amy was able to get through that, even though she didn't have a good day, and win the championship. Now for second spot, here's John Bauckham in the Mustang, the winner of race number 2 at Detroit on Detroit Grand Prix weekend. He gets by Simon Gregg for second. Paul Fix off the racetrack.
A lot of action early in this race. We see Amy Ruman leaving pit lane. Hopefully she'll get a caution, maybe have a chance to get those spots back. You can't forget she's the leader of the championship. The last thing she needs is a poor finish.
Johnny Bauckham's RaceCarParts.com Ford Mustang back on the gas, up and down the hills. Getting back on course here. Now there's the brand newly bodied machine of David Pintarek. He is very much in the championship chase. Pintarek deciding to go with one of Kerry Hitt's Advanced Composites Cadillac bodies on that car. It's the same race car that we saw as a Corvette earlier. Now a Cadillac. There's Kerry Hitt's machine. Those are beautifully finished race cars.
Absolutely. Lots of downforce. The cars look great. What's so neat about these Trans Am cars, they're throaty, they're fast. You hear them going up over the crest, through the gears. It just gets you excited.
Fix back on the course now, trying to pass Kerry Hitt under the Honda Bridge through turn 1, and he gets the job done.
And Fix is being very aggressive, had that mistake, slid off the racetrack, trying to get those spots back, and he's doing it well.
Benny Allegretta there in the 41. That car newly rebodied as well. Behind him, Claudio Burton in the 7, trying to reel in some of these competitors. 6th, 7th, and 8th up for grabs in the early laps here in Mid-Ohio as the field is through the keyhole. Meantime, your championship leader, Amy Ruman, back on pit road. Here's Todd.
Here's the problem that occurred with Amy Ruman on that opening lap. Contact with another competitor, sheared the valve stem off. That means the tire deflates quickly. She limped it back along pit road, got back out, and has resumed competition. Didn't appear to be any suspension damage. Now the hunt is on.
Amy did a great job getting that car back to the pit lane without any damage. Still in the fight, but she's going to need some help.
TA3 and TA4 battle a little further back, and Vincent Allegretta in the 41 car going off course. Boy, a lot of these Trans Am competitors having trouble keeping their cars on the ribbon. And here's the Dodge Challenger of Spencer Caudle, the Rotosource machine. He's had some problems as well, just getting back up to speed, but way off the pace.
And it sounds like that motor's down. I don't know if he's lost a cylinder, but definitely something terminal.
So Caudle trying to get back on pace. Meantime, Cliff Evans from his front row starting spot. After that contact with Amy Ruman, he's all alone up in front. John Bauckham is second. The 59 of Simon Gregg is third. David Pintarek sits fourth. So Evan now will try to close the deal, and if he can win here today, he would close the points gap on Amy Ruman.
And we've seen a lot of speed out of Cliff Evans this year. He's been up front, he's been challenging hard, pushing hard, not a guy that gets overly excited, so it's fun to see him up front.
Meantime, it appears there are some problems with the 36 car.
Yeah, guys, an update from our leader, Cliff Eben, who is out in front of the field and seems okay at the moment, but he's also indicated to the team when they saw a puff of smoke that the power steering has gone away. So yes, he is going to have his hands full for the rest of the day.
Wow, the last thing you want at Mid-Ohio Sports Course is not having power steering. So much elevation, high compression. The wheel wants to jump out of your hand. It's going to be a very, very long afternoon if he doesn't have power steering.
If you were with us a couple of weeks ago from Brainerd in Minnesota on the 4th of July weekend, Eben led up until the very last lap. Motor problems on the 36 ended his shot at victory. Now it looks as though he's got some other troubles early on. We get back on board with Tim Kesman here, the Calypso Lemonade onboard. We'll be right back in the First Energy 100.
Trans Am Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by First Energy, the official energy of Trans Am Racing at Mid-Ohio. And by Three Dimensional Services Group, Prototype, Production, Proven.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, Lexington, Ohio. Coverage of the First Energy 100, the Trans Am Series, America's road racing series. That fall line machine of Tim Kesman, the Calypso Lemonade car, in some trouble. He's beached that thing. Kesman has shut it off. He's dropping the window net. Looks like his day is done.
Yeah, we're not really sure. We get a replay here, find out what happened.
Heading to the S's. Just gets away from him.
Yeah, just got in a little deep. Maybe had a little bit of rear lockup and slid off into the beach there.
So Tim Kesman done for the day early. Cliff Eben, meantime, still the race leader, and the smoke seems to have stopped in the 36 car, or at least there's a lot less of it.
Well, there's going to be a lot less because as you lose the fluid, there's no more smoke. And unfortunately for him, that's just going to make that steering wheel more heavy. And eventually, he's going to have to make sure he's had his Wheaties this morning. It's going to be a tough, long race.
Cliff Eben, the veteran, longtime SCCA competitor in the amateur ranks, stepping up to Trans Am several years ago, running the full season this year, bidding for the championship as he closes in on the 22. That Corvette in TA3. Meantime, back to Randy Mueller's machine, the BMW, the Zero car, the bizbloom.com entry. Mueller, when he brings that car to a Trans Am weekend, not running the full season, but boy, they are fast.
Oh, absolutely. Those BMWs handle so well. It's got a very distinct sound, and that's what's fun for a fan at Mid-Ohio. You see a Porsche, you see a BMW, you have these Trans Am cars, all different makes, all different sounds. Very exciting.
Well, the 4-car of Kesman has been retrieved from the beach. They got him fired back up, and they're sending him back out in the Calypso Lemonade machine. Let's get downstairs to Todd.
Yeah, it was an extended stop for that Calypso Lemonade machine. Spun, went off course, and got dug so deep into the sand, knocked the tire right off the rim. It wasn't flat prior to that. And then, of course, having to limp it back, get back onto pit road. The team took its time to make sure there was no further damage, but he has now returned.
Fall Line Motorsports, that Porsche team, they've been at this a long time. They know what they're doing with those cars.
Absolutely. Great cars, well prepared. I actually drove for Fall Line not too long ago in a BMW. Those guys do a great job. Their chassis are spectacular, and I'm sure they're going to get to victory lane.
Now, Cliff Eben, maybe with a power steering issue in that 36, is going to give up the lead here, it looks like, to John Bauckham. Bauckham and Simon Gregg sneak by on the carousel, heading to the front straightaway.
And like we talked about, it was just a matter of time. It is so difficult to drive these cars without power steering. I can't describe it to the fans.
This is a much lighter weight car than your Sprint Cup machine, Michael McDowell, but they've got that big, heavy 800 horsepower V8 up there between the front tires. It is hard to wrestle one.
And absolutely, lots of downforce, lots of grip through that Hoosier tire. And when that car loads up down the straightaway, no big deal. But when you get into the corner and all the load's going through the tire, it comes right through that steering wheel. And it is physically almost impossible to turn the wheel any further.
Trans Am leaders working by some of the TA3 and 4 machines. Bauckham in that green and yellow Mustang is your new leader. Simon Gregg in the 59 car. Jim Durhog Chevrolet right there in second spot. Eben hanging on to third as they work lap traffic. And here's Simon Gregg to the inside.
Wow, late into the brakes. Very aggressive, very deep, and is able to pull it off.
So Simon Gregg, former series champion, looking for his first win of the season, gets by Bauckham as they head through the S's.
And sometimes you got to do that. You got to catch a guy off guard by surprise, and that's exactly what he did there.
Tim Kesman, meantime, back on pit road in the Fall Line Porsche, the Calypso Lemonade Sport car. They've got the air jacks down on that car as they go to work on it. Kesman getting his gloves reset. They'll try to get him ready to come back up onto the racetrack. They have struggled so far as he refires that Porsche.
And we're not sure what's happening here. We saw him have that off. Not sure if there was a mechanical problem that led to that, but obviously they're fighting something.
Up front, meantime, good battle for the lead. Simon Gregg with about an 8-car length advantage over Bauckham. He goes by that 07 car, one of the Mustangs back in TA4. That's the car of Brian Kleeman from Baltimore, Maryland. Kleeman in that Mustang. We check in, meantime, with defending champ Amy Ruman at her home racetrack after that tire issue earlier. Started on the front row today. Got rubbed on by Cliff Evan as they were coming to the start. Cut down a tire, had to pit early. She's up to 14th now as we're past the 10-lap mark.
And we've seen this earlier in the season. Unfortunately for Amy, she's gonna have to get a caution, get the field bunch backed up. Now she's gonna make up a few spots. She has lots of speed. We saw her qualify in the front row. She's been up front all year long, but it's such a big gap, you cannot make up that much time.
A shout out here to Ernie Francis Jr. in the Breathless Performance Ford Mustang on the pole. He is undefeated in TA4 competition so far this season. 5 for 5 in the defending series champ. Just a teenager, so smooth behind the wheel.
Oh, he's a champion. He's a young, talented guy. He does such a great job of managing his races, does not make a lot of mistakes, doesn't buckle under pressure. He's got the whole package.
Ernie Francis Jr. with a good lead in TA4 as we work our way into the second 10 laps of competition here. This is a 2¼ mile racetrack. It's a 100-mile event today, so about 45 laps of action. There's the 33, the DC Prime Chevrolet right behind. That car driven by Tristan Herbert from Ashburn, Virginia. He's a rookie. That's a good-looking Camaro.
Oh, those Camaros are sharp, very good-looking. You see the splitters, the wings. You know, the TA4 cars are really exciting to watch. They look like a street car, but at the same time, they got cool add-on aero kits. They're driving these cars right to the limit. You see them slide over the top of the hill. A lot of fun to watch.
Not a lot of tire on these cars.
Absolutely not, and that's what makes it so challenging. It's like you're driving a race car on the street, sliding around. You hear the tires squealing.
Paul Fix, meantime, the defending winner of this race, sitting 4th right now, trying to win his 3rd straight. He's got his work cut out for him, but this is a place that Paul Fix really appreciates.
Mid-Ohio is an ever-changing track. Regardless of the weather, the track changes with humidity and sunlight. So you can't say that you're fast here just because you were fast here last year. It all depends on how you are with the other cars around you. So it's a driver's track. It really is.
And Paul's absolutely right. This track changes a lot. It takes a lot of rubber. It loses a lot of rubber. We see lots of different racing and different classes. Oh, we got a spin.
Joseph Frieda goes around in his 82 car. That's the Aerolab.com Corvette. Caution waving locally there as the field slows down to navigate past. Frieda facing in the wrong direction. He'll try to spin that car, get it pointed in the right direction. Has to go up on the grass to get the job done. Where you have the elevation change. Let's take another look here. Battling with the 12 car. Frieda on the wrong side of the racetrack.
And it looks like there might have been slight contact, but the car gets very light, cresting the hill. You're trying to get back to the gas, and you just spun out.
Good job by Peterson to miss the 82 car on the way by.
Absolutely. Heads up, knowing where the car is going to go. Was very close to clipping him, but was able to get by.
Paul Fix, meantime, Dave Pintarek fighting for position back there, 4th and 5th in Trans Am as they work by Ernie Francis's Ford Mustang. In TA4 competition, clock at the top of the screen. These are timed events, 100 miles or 75 minutes, whatever you get to first. And trouble for the 37 car in TA4. Says, hey, I want to go check out some of the camping areas here at Mid-Ohio. Rich Jones and the Jomac aluminum bodies Mustang.
And he does a great job there, is able to get behind that guardrail there. No full course caution because of it.
And trouble for the 22. Starting to drop like flies here. This is Mel Shaw, the Bay Commercial Group Chevrolet. Looked like he had some issues, some smoke pouring out of the back end of that machine. That could be power steering, could be brakes, could be engine.
Yeah, we're not really sure what caused it there, but we see a lot of cars sliding off. That gives me the indication that somebody is putting some sort of fluid down.
Ryan Kleeman off course through the gravel trap and into the soft wall. Let's take another look at what happens. There's obvious body damage sustained right there when Kleeman hit the arm coat.
That does not look like oil down the racetrack. That looks like a brake failure right there. He did everything he could to miss the corner, trying to get in that gravel trap, but hit the guardrail. A ton of speed there, and it's good to see that window net go down.
Left front corner of the car sustaining some significant damage. Kleeman drops the window net, though. That's the universal signal that he's okay in the car. And we will get a full course caution here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in the First Energy 100 today.
And now, it's not what obviously we wanted to see, but this is exactly what Amy Ruman needed to get caught back up to that field.
On board here with Claudio Burton as we get set to take a break under caution. Simon Gregg, your leader. Bauckham and Paul Fix, Pintarek, and Cliff Evan back to 5th at Mid-Ohio. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Coverage of Trans Am, America's Road Racing Series. Today, the First Energy 100. Downstairs to Todd Lewis.
Yeah, more difficulty for the overall points leader, Amy Ruman, guys, and this one won't get a subtle fix. Apparently, it is stuck in 4th gear, and Amy cannot shift out of it, so they are going to bring her along pit road during this caution. Get out the big hammer. They're going to try and knock it loose.
Wow.
If you got big problems, you need a big hammer, I guess. But really what they're trying to do is a lot of times it'll get locked in gear there. If you can get it out and get it in neutral, from there on you should be able to get the rest of the gears.
It does not look as though Amy Ruman will score another victory today here in Mid-Ohio, but this is her family's home racetrack. You saw her mom Barb there on pit road. It's a family affair for the Rumans, and it has been for a long time.
With the real head of Ruman Racing, Barb Ruman, any idea how many times you've been here to Mid-Ohio?
No, but we started when we were young. My husband and I raced here, so it's been a good, probably 30 years.
That's a lot of races. Who was the winner between you and your husband?
Oh, Bob always won. But we didn't race each other. I raced in the women's class. They had women's classes then. But a lot of the women had a lot of fun doing this, but it was only one lap at a time. It was Corvette racing, time trials. That's where I started. And then Amy followed suit, and sometimes she would beat me, which never made me happy, but that was all right.
It still seems like it's as much fun as it used to be.
Yeah, we have fun, unless you have a bad race, and then it's ugly, but, you know, you get over it. It's the way it is. That's racing.
Still the racer's mentality, though, is that intensity still there even after all these years?
Yes. And I just told my husband the other day, as a matter of fact, I said, you know, I think on my bucket list I'll put one thing. I don't have any, other things. I said I want to get back in the car and just race a time trial once. So I've got to find a car to do that, but it won't be this one.
You saw that red Corvette with the number 23 on the door. That's still the family number. Bob drove the 23 in Trans Am for a long, long time, back when I started calling these races quite a number of years ago. Amy's sister Nikki competes in Spec Racer Ford. Great that it's a family affair.
Oh, that's so awesome. And for me to see the history there and to see that red Corvette, the 23, it's so much fun when you can race, but not only race with your family, do what you love to do with the people you love doing it with.
And the Rumans have some big hammers in their toolbox. Amy back out on the racetrack.
And it looks like they did exactly what they wanted to do. They got that thing out of gear. You could hear her take out of the pit stall, so she might be back in shape here.
Simon Gregg will lead him back to the restart green. Now, Mid-Ohio, one of these places where the start-finish line is on the pit straightaway. The field takes the initial green on the long straightaway out of the keyhole. We're back underway here on the main straightaway. Big jailbreak here, trying to get through turn 1 and head back to the keyhole. Paul Fix trying to pick up some spots.
And a lot of the action we see here is because we have multiple classes running here today, 3 classes in total. So you see these cars mix-match. Paul Fix is trying to get through that slower TA4 class, get back up to the front, side by side, rubbing. This is great racing.
Paul Fix trying to take third away from David Pintarek. Meantime, Lee Saunders back with us in that Dodge Viper, the 84 car. He won the championship a year ago in what was then TA3 International, now TA3. Saunders through the oil dry, and you can tell that Kleeman did lay down a lot of liquid when he went off the racetrack into the Armco. Saunders not able to make the pass.
Absolutely, and this is real tricky on a restart. You see that speedy dry down. You don't know how slick it's going to be, but you're fighting hard. You're side by side, and as you can see, sometimes you just have to run through it and hope that it sticks.
Paul Fix still trying to get by David Pintarek for third position. Kerry Hitt back there as well in the top 5 mix. That's Jim McAleese in the red and blue 03 car. Won his first career race at Road America 1 year ago in Trans Am. We'll be back there in just a few days for our annual visit. You'll see coverage of the Road America rounds as well here on CBS Sports Network. Take a look back at Fix now from Pintarek's machine. Fix trying to get to the inside through the carousel, can't get it done.
And that's a tough place to pull off a pass. Really what you're trying to do, you're trying to get in the guy's mirror, set up a pass heading down into turn 1 here.
Down the front straightaway into what is called turn 1 at Mid-Ohio. Randy Kinsland there in the 11 car, pole sitter in TA3. Having to be careful now because the TA machine's right on him. Lee Saunders back there in the 84 car. McAleese now up alongside Fix, and Fix goes around. Contact there in the keyhole.
I'm not sure that Paul Fix saw that Jim McAleese was underneath him, turned in for the keyhole. Not room for 2 cars to go through there. Unfortunately, Paul Fix ends up spun around.
Fix's bid to win 3 in a row in Trans Am, get himself closer to the points lead. Probably not going to succeed here today. Here's McAleese trying to dive bomb.
And you can see he's all the way alongside. There's side-by-side contact there. Like I said, Paul Fix probably never expected him to be down there. Side-by-side racing, you'll have that. And unfortunately, Paul Fix ended up on the short side of it.
So Fix getting back up to speed, but his bid to win 3 in a row in Trans Am apparently will not pay off today. Meantime, in TA4, Ernie Francis Jr. in the breathless Mustang there, the 98. He's got his hands full at the moment with Tristan Herbert, the rookie, in the yellow Camaro, the 33, the DC Prime car.
And this is fun to watch. Tristan Herbert's actually giving Ernie Francis a challenge. Ernie Francis has been so dominant all year long, and now he's going to have to fight for this win.
Out of the carousel, back onto the front straightaway, and Herbert about 4 car lengths behind. Tim Rubright in his Trans Am machine going by. Let's give you our Calypso Lemonades TA3, TA4 update. Randy Kinsland in the blue 11 car was your pole sitter. Early leader Connor Flynn in the Irish Mike's 95 alongside. Flynn would take over briefly here, and the Calypso Lemonade machine of Tim Kesman would run as high as second in the early going. They would have problems later in the day, including this spin into the gravel trap. Kesman able to get refired and would rejoin the battle a little bit later on. But by lap 3, Randy Mueller in the BizBoom.com BMW would take over. Mueller only qualified 4th. And a big moment for Brian Kleeman out of Baltimore in TA4. The DWW Ford hard into the Armco. His day was done. Hey, it's hot outside. It's perfect weather for an ice-cold Calypso lemonade. Made with real lemons and real sugar, Calypso is real lemonade and the perfect summertime refreshment. Find out more, go to drinkcalypso.com. That's your Calypso Lemonade's TA3, TA4 update. Francis still leading over Tristan Herbert there in the yellow DC Prime machine. Randy Mueller settling in behind in that 0 car as they crest the hill at Mid-Ohio. Francis with about a 3 car length advantage over Herbert. Mueller settling in the 0 car. Herbert putting a right rear, left rear off up on the curb.
Wow, that was fun to watch. A big slide over the crest of the hill. He is pushing hard.
Heading to the carousel. Ernie Francis has to be mindful of the fact that Herbert is right there. He opens the door, though, for Mueller on the inside.
Got a little wide there, pushing hard, and that's what happens is when you're attacking the car in front of you, sometimes you forget that there's a car behind you that's trying to pounce as well.
Good 3-way battle there in TA3 and TA4. It's still raging. Out of 1, heading up to the keyhole.
And Ernie Francis has his head down right now, trying to build a gap.
Tim Rubright, meantime, into the keyhole. Here's how they run in TA3. Mueller ahead of Connor Flynn and Randy Kinsland. We'll be back.
Trans Am Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by the General Insurance. Get your anonymous online auto insurance quote now. And by Replay XD, professional action cameras, the leader since 2005.
Back in Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, I'm Rick Benjamin, Michael McDowell alongside. Todd Lewis is on pit road on board the Calypso Lemonades Porsche in TA3 competition. Todd Kesman back in action in this car. It's one of the Fall Line Motorsports entries. Meantime, Amy Ruhlman trying to make laps and get herself some points here today in the McNichols Chevrolet, the 23, the defending champ. Ernie Francis Jr. in the breathless Mustang, the 98, still out in front in TA4.
And Ernie Francis opened up a little bit of a gap over Tristan Herbert now. Not as much pressure as we saw early on.
Running in front of Cliff Evans' car. Evan, the early leader, pole qualifier in the race today in the First Energy 100. Remember, he rubbed on Amy Ruhlman as they were coming to the start. Developed apparently a power steering leak and had to back off the pace quite a bit. Amy's day got worse from that point on as well. TA2 also part of the excitement here in Mid-Ohio. Our AEM Infinity TA2 preview. Defending series champion Guy Robinson with a short points lead now over Tony Buffamani in the 34 car from the Mike Cope Stables. Those drivers will have to watch out for Lawrence Loshak in the Pennzoil 5 and young Justin Haley in the Braun 99 car. Of course, the great veteran Tommy Archer in the Kohler Chevrolet machine will be one of the contenders for victory, as will local hero Aaron Quine in his orange number 69. That's all part of our TA2 event upcoming here on CBS Sports Network, our AEM Infinity TA2 preview. Meantime, back to the big bore Trans Am machines. A couple of Chevy Corvettes in the S's. Vince Allegretta out of New York in that 41 car. Good looking entry. Claudio Burton in the GoShare Chevrolet. They've been fighting for position all day long. On board here with Burton. Trying to learn this new race car out of the Tony Ave shops. And GoShare Chevrolet, a beautiful piece. Claudio, longtime Trans Am competitor out of South Florida. Into the carousel. Running in 6th right now, about 14 seconds back. Here's John Bauckham in his Ford, the 86 car. In front of the machine of Dave Pintarik.
And these guys have been at it all day long. We've seen them go back and forth, fighting hard for the second, third position. Late into the brakes and pulls it off.
Pintarik in that newly Cadillac-bodied machine, the 57, getting by Bauckham. They've swapped that spot a couple of times.
It's a little bit like deja vu. We just saw that pass. It was just about 30 minutes ago. These guys have been neck and tail, just battling hard, going back and forth.
Talked to David Pintarik before the green today, and he said, man, we've got a good race car today. Circumstances have put he and Bauckham a little further back now, behind our race leader, Simon Gregg, but Pintarik doing a nice job as he bids for his first career victory. It's been a big week for the Trans Am Race Company, the owners and promoters of the Trans Am Series. A new partner has come in, Tony Perella, the president of the Sports Car Vintage Racing Association. SVRA taking an ownership stake in Trans Am. Before the start today, Todd Lewis caught up with Tony.
This is the newest member of the Trans Am family. Tony Perella is now part of the ownership group. Congratulations, first of all, Tony. And how did this all come about?
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, Trans Am raced with SVRA, the vintage organization I run, for the last 3 years. And we did several co-events. And this year at Sebring, really what the light went on for me. We had historic Trans Am racing with us, a group of authentic cars that ran back in the day. And the crowds come out and drove. We had a record gate, so it just made logical sense to kind of put the two together from an investment standpoint. There's a lot of things that we'll bring to elevate the awareness again of Trans Am. I mean, it's a 50-year-old brand. It's as iconic as any as they come. But I think it's in the last, 10 years or whatever it's been, I think the awareness has slipped with changes in the industry. And I'm hoping that with the lessons learned that we've had over the last 4 years with SVRA, I can bring some of those tools to the table and really get the prominence back to this, because it's great racing. It's a great series. The fans love it. It's just making the exposure to the level it should be.
Congratulations, Tony, and thank you. Looking forward to a bright future.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Tony and SVRA, one of the dominant vintage groups in the country. Trans Am and SVRA have raced together many times in the past. We look forward to more of that as the seasons unfold. Jim Durhog, one of the partners in Trans Am as well, watching his driver lead at Mid-Ohio. Back in Mid-Ohio, problems for Paul Fix in the Stopflex Chevrolet. He has gone off, trying to get that car refired. Against the tire barrier, Fix trying to get back to victory lane for the third straight race, get himself more prominently in the points chase at the halfway point of the season. Let's take a look at what happened to Paul Fix here. Lost it big.
Carried a lot of momentum. Car got a little bit sideways, and as it stepped out, jumped on the brakes, trying to gather it up. Was lucky to get through that gravel trap and then get back out. It did a good job of saving his day there.
Fix is back underway. Simon Gregg, meantime, here comes Fix back up onto the racetrack. He's going to try to snap that car. Oh, and he gets hammered. He gets taken hard there by Tristan Herbert in the 33. Fix was trying to come back onto the racetrack after going off. He was pointed in the wrong direction, didn't realize there was oncoming traffic. That car is heavily damaged. Got a couple of other cars involved, and the caution waves full course yellow for a hard hit involving Paul Fix. Take another look as Fix is trying to get back up onto the racetrack here. Didn't realize that Herbert and the 12 car were approaching.
And that is a worst case scenario. We see an onboard here.
Oh my heavenly days. Fix gets hammered.
Wow, that's a huge, huge impact.
This is from Herbert's machine. Tristan Kind of a blind corner, comes up, he's in the groove, doesn't realize there that Fix is just trying to get back on the racetrack. Wow, heavy impact indeed. Fix is out of the car, one of the safety workers approaching. That shows you how well those Tony Ave race cars are built.
Man, and the fortunate situation is both drivers, as we see, are walking away, so we're very thankful for that. But what you had Paul Fix sitting in a blind spot. Tristan could not see him, but at the same time, Paul Fix could not see Tristan coming as well. So it was one of those situations where both of them were blind. Obviously, Paul Fix is at fault here. He was spun out off of the racetrack. He pulled back onto the racetrack, something you have to be sure that there's no cars coming when you do it.
And you could tell from Herbert's onboard, he was in the racing line, didn't realize the 50 car was trying to get back on the racetrack. More to come from Mid-Ohio. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the cars of Paul Fix and Tristan Herbert going in on the rollbacks after a very hard hit. Fortunately, both drivers out of their cars and they're okay. That could have been a terrible situation, Michael
And you
McDowell.
see the damage on Paul Fix's car there. Obviously, a lot of it was right into the front, left front corner, but had Paul Fix moved 2 or 3 foot further forward, it'd have been right into his driver compartment there. Both of those drivers very lucky to walk away.
Here's one more look at it. Fix trying to snap the car back onto the racetrack, and Herbert had nowhere to go.
And Herbert, honestly, no way he could have seen Paul Fix. He's coming around the bend there, turn 9, it's a guardrail you can't see. As he was cresting back to the left, Paul Fix was sitting right there.
Driver's right, that Armco was as tall as the car, and he was right up against it.
Absolutely.
Here's another look from Fix's onboard. Frightening impact. And again,
I could barely
fortunately,
watch it. I mean, that's such a huge impact. So fortunate those guys walked away.
both drivers okay, and a testimony to the safety regulations in place by SCCA Pro Racing and Trans Am as well. Tim Kesman's machine, the Fall Line Porsche, on the course under caution, the Calypso Lemonade's backed car this weekend. Our Calypso Lemonade's TA3 and 4 update for you. It's been a rough day for several contenders. Spencer Caudle in the Rotosaurus Dodge Challenger out early after just 4 laps today with a problem. The 37 of Rich Jones in the Jomac Ford also out as he headed to the keyhole. He just got off the racetrack and headed through one of the openings. Tim Kesman in that Calypso Lemonade's entry, spinning. He was up as high as second in that machine. They were able to get that car out of the beach and back on the racetrack. Mel Shaw's Chevrolet, the Bay Commercial Group 22 car, had problems. He would have to pull off the race course as well. And then Brian Kleeman in the DWW Ford Mustang into the Armco, hard, heavy damage to the left front corner of that race car. It's been a tough day. Of course, the toughest moment of all, Tristan Herbert in TA4 running very well in second spot. Paul Fix pulled his Trans Am machine onto the track right in front of Herbert. He had no place to go. The DC Prime Chevrolet with that hard hit. And that's your TA3 and 4 update brought to you by Calypso Lemonades. It's hot outside, which means it's the perfect weather for an ice-cold Calypso Lemonade. Made with real lemons, real sugar, Calypso's real lemonade, and the perfect summertime refreshment. Go to drinkcalypso.com. Michael McDowell, you drive Sprint Cup machinery. Race cars very safe today, but that was a hard hit.
Absolutely frightening, and these Trans Am cars are built tough.
Getting word from race control, this one will end under caution today. The First Energy 100 as the safety car leads the field onto the front straightaway. The double yellows and the checkered flag waving over Simon Gregg out of Florida in the 59 car. Second generation driver. Simon wins his first Trans Am round of the season. Randy Mueller will take home the victory in TA3. In the bizbloom.com BMW, the Zero car, Mueller picks up the victory here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as well. And at TA4, it'll be another victory for Ernie Francis Jr. in the Breathless Performance Ford. The 98 car, he wins his 6th in a row in TA4 and takes a giant step toward another Trans Am championship in TA4. Thumbs up to Simon Gregg. We'll come right back and talk to our winners. Get you caught up on all the storylines of the day here at Mid-Ohio on CBS Sports Network.
Trans Am Racing Series on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by First Energy, the official energy of Trans Am Racing at Mid-Ohio. And by 3-Dimensional Services Group, prototype, production, proven.
Checkered flag waving here at Mid-Ohio. Michael McDowell, you don't like to win them under caution, but you sure do like to win.
And Simon Gregg deserves this win. He was out front, checked out. Nobody was going to challenge him. Unfortunately, the race ended under caution, but he was going to get to victory lane either way.
Todd Lewis there in victory lane, ready to talk to the former series champion, picking up his first win of the year in Jim Durhag Chevrolet, the 59 car. Here's Todd.
The last few laps were under caution, but Simon Gregg took the lead, held it, and had some really fast laps in this race here at Mid-Ohio. Congratulations, terrific victory.
Oh, that was a great weekend. Thank you very much to Durhag Motorsports. The Corvette ran great. You know, it's a handling track here, and we had a great chassis and tires, by Hoosier. I want to thank Emra and Chris. It was a great weekend to be here. Thank you.
Simon Gregg is your winner in TA.
Nice run for Simon today. Got that lead early, as you said, Michael.
Absolutely did a great job, managed the race well, built a gap, and then got himself into victory.
In the First Energy 100, Gregg is your winner. David Pintar comes home second. John Bauckham, Kerry Hidd, Jim McAleese, your top five. There's Claudio Burton in seventh in front of Joseph Frieda, who recovered from that spin earlier to finish eighth.
Absolutely. It was great battle all throughout the Trans Am field today.
Amy Ruman, the points leader, only 10th today. Cliff Eben has to settle for 11th, and Paul Fix, with that hard impact late in the race that caused our event to end under caution, he gets credit for 12th. Back to Todd.
It's an emotional face. I know you were really hoping for a victory, but still a terrific run.
Sorry for the show of emotion. This is the home track, and the Crider Racing team does such a great job. And Matt Miller, my crew chief, we've been best friends for 11 years. And we've been talking, we get this first win, he's going to poke his head in the window, and we're going to hug each other like that. It would have been so cool to bring it home for the home team. But you know what? Simon Gregg, he's my buddy, and he's a heck of a driver, and it's good for him. We got side by side at the end and saluted each other. It would have been a good race.
Guys, I think that win is going to be coming one day.
David Pintar and that newly Cadillac-bodied machine out of Canfield, Ohio. Not far at all from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And with that second-place run, Pintar closes down 21 points behind Amy Ruman now.
Absolutely. The points gap is getting closer. Paul Fix had an opportunity to close the gap on Amy, wasn't able to do it today.
Todd standing by with our TA3 winner.
Here's your TA3 winner, Randy. Tell us about the race.
It was awesome race for us. I didn't qualify as good as I wanted to, starting P4. I know I can get around the track a little bit better than that. At the start of the race, I was able to just manipulate my way through the traffic and get to the lead. After that, the race kind of started falling in our favor, just working the traffic and managing. And then the yellow came out, and it really helped us out.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Mueller didn't put a wheel wrong today.
And what's really cool about this, you see 4 manufacturers in the top 4, very competitive.
Defending champ Lee Saunders has to settle for 4th. Randy Kinsland, the pole starter, and that Corvette comes home in 3rd. And there's Tim Kesman in the Calypso Lemonades car in 8th position today in TA3. Good battle up front. TA4, Ernie Francis Jr. had his hands full with Tristan Herbert until that late wreck.
Absolutely. Tristan did a great job putting the pressure on him, but Ernie once again back in victory lane.
And Todd has caught up with our TA4 winner.
Ernie Francis, the streak continues.
Yeah, 7 in a row now. We're doing really pretty good. Really making it possible for this 3rd championship. We're really going for it. It was a good race for us, just played it consistent and just ran clean laps. We had a little bit of pressure from behind, but we're able to make it to the finish, so that's what counts.
Trying to make it 8 next time, guys.
Ernie Francis Jr. certainly the favorite to do that.
7 in a row, that's amazing, especially in as ultra-competitive as Trans Am is.
No doubt about it. Tristan Herbert was right there in 2nd spot for much of the day before he was involved in that hard wreck with Paul Fix. Todd has caught up with him.
Tristan, you were one of those involved in that big collision. You were an innocent bystander, and it was just all of a sudden in front of you.
Yeah, it was tough. We had a good run on Ernie, and we ran in 2nd place, and we were getting close to the end of the race, and it was just keep the car in one piece, and everything was good. And I came around the turn in a blind wall, and Paul Fix and the TA car pulled right out in front of me. And it's nothing you can do. Just can't react. I'm really happy that he's okay. I thought I hit him right on the door at about 100 miles an hour. And at the end of the day, it's racing and it happens. But I'm just glad that everybody's okay.
Tristan Herbert, that DC Prime Steaks and Lobster Chevrolet, was strong all day. Great action from the start. Front row starters got into each other. Several other drivers had their problems. Mid-Ohio's a tough place to race.
A lot of action, just like we expected, and we expect it for the rest of the year.
Certainly will be a great rest of this Trans Am season. We congratulate all of our winners. For Michael McDowell, I'm Rick Benjamin. See you next time.